Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power. Hello and welcome to this episode of Your Ultimate Life, the podcast I created to help you, to serve you, to lift you, and assure you that you can create a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, and live a life that you love every single day. Today, I'm blessed with a special guest, Bradley Morris, who lives in a wonderful place called Salt Spring Island. Bradley, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here right now.
You are absolutely welcome. And we've had a chance to visit before. You have a podcast, and I was a guest on a little bit ago, and that was fun. And you're going to come on my other shows too. So I am so excited, not just to have you, but for the message and the things that you're doing. I don't do introductions in the show. I do it in a different way that comes out. So what I'd like to ask you first is, without being modest, I want you to tell the audience, how does Bradley choose to add good to the world?
In this particular moment in time, in this exact chapter that I am in, I would say first and foremost, raising my son Soren to have a magical life with two devoted parents, and to support him to just be in the full expression of who he is here to be. How that shows up, one of the things that I do in the world is we built an audio entertainment and creative learning platform called Majik Kids, and we're here to support parents to raise empowered creators with less screens and more imagination. And we do that by producing the most magical, cinematic, we call them movies for the ears, audio stories for kids that teach kids about all sorts of wonderful life lessons and philosophical things to contemplate in their lives and support them to grow up to become their most embodied, powerful selves. And we also have licensed a massive library of children's music from artists around the globe. We do imagination meditations. We design creative curriculum for every single story we create, so kids can integrate these lessons and themes and not just hear a great story, but to actually get to try on what it was like to be that character from the story in the integration pieces afterwards. And so Majik Kids is in this expansion phase right now, which is really beautiful. And as the first fair pay publishing company, we split our revenue with our artist community. And the goal is to help as many artists as possible get paid their living so that they can devote their lives to serving kids. So that's one big way that is showing up for me. One of the others,
wait a minute. I want to separate these. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's why, because it is so, in my experience, it is so rare as a percentage of the general population of the people that I have on as guests and that I interface with in life. It's not, the percentage is way better, but as a percentage of general population, it is so rare to have an attitude demonstrated by what you just described of raising your son. That was it. How do you add good to the world? I'm raising my kid. Okay, so I want to know, and you described all these things and audio stories that reminded me of when I was a kid. We had a record player, one of those old little box record players. You're probably not old enough to remember them.
I had one too.
Okay, and so it was Danny Kaye, who was an old storyteller, and he happened to have red hair like I used to. I don't have, it's all white and don't have much anymore, but he told stories from legends around the world. And he told these stories and they were accompanied with music. And so when you describe that, I'm like, Russian folktale of this and nail broth and all these stories on both sides of this thing. And so as you're describing that, I'm thinking that. So that's a separate thing, back to where I was. What is it that has made it for you and your partner that your love, your life, your choice right now, of all the things you could be doing is to raise your son?
Yeah, it when Soren was born and I met him for the first moment, for me, I expected that there was going to be the weight of responsibility that would be bestowed upon me of having this kid to raise. And instead, it was a really unique thing. The first thing that I thought when I saw him was my adventure buddy's here. And so for me, it's like when I finish work at the end of the day, and 3 days a week, he's in the studio with me, and he's also creating, and we're creating together, and he's working on his own projects as well because we homeschool or we unschool, and so like for me, it's like this is the greatest joy is to be able to hang with my kiddo and build a relationship with him and take him on adventures and to do that with my wife as well, and it's a beautiful existence. And so, for me, I have a lot of hobbies of my own that I enjoy doing when I'm not with my kiddo, but also it's pretty magical to get to witness and participate in his own evolution. And because we've chosen a path of having him home most days of the week to be a part of the Majik Kids company. He and I have co-written 25 stories now, and he voice acts in most. We've done 30 something YouTube videos that have millions of views, mostly comedy ads or comedy videos for our channel. And so we're always in this like creative, collaborative conversation around whatever we're working on next. And it's pretty amazing to have, he's 9 right now. He turns 10 in later this year. And it's just such a gift, it's like it's just amazing to have this not just like a friendship, it's like a father-son relationship, it's also a friendship. It's amazing.
In the world that we have today, there is so much worry about I need mine, what makes me happy, my, me. And to have that choice, I know I'm waxing a little poetic, but to make that choice that you and your wife have made, to have that be the centerpiece, it feels like I'm feeling like this is what we're doing right now. And yeah, we built businesses and other things around it, as opposed to this is a pain in the butt thing that we've got to go through while the kid's little, and eventually we can't wait for him to get a little more independent so we can do what we want. And that is so different. And I just cannot speak to that enough. And the expression you have of the joy and the creativity and the fulfillment of shepherding, stewarding, and being responsible for the growth, the development, the eye-opening, the imbuing a sense of wonder that happens as these kids do grow up. And so I just want to honor you for that right out of the gate.
Thanks. And that's, what we're trying to do with Majik Kids is to bring that to all families because it's very special. I think it's what so many people deeply crave, and because people are generally overwhelmed, and the overwhelm causes them to not be present, and the lack of presence causes them to feel lonely or like there's something missing in their life because they're not present to the magic that is available in the moment. And so we're trying to like bring that magic back to family life so that more families can experience it, because it's one of the things that so many people crave and they don't necessarily know how to access it. And in our experience, like we live that most days. There's obviously hard days, but even in the hardships, there's an undercurrent of magic, knowing that the hardships are helping to forge us into who we're aspired to become.
What you're saying is eternal truth, and I didn't even understand any of that until much later in life. And so again, I want to, I didn't never ask you how old you were, but I certainly didn't know any or very much of what you've just described at the time in life earlier when I was having my own kids and raising them and things. And
Yeah.
I don't, I'm grateful. That's the feeling I have, the gratitude that you have discovered it, you've integrated it, and you've chosen to even view quote, difficult days or situations as learning opportunities instead of negative things. So I think that's a really good thing. And I really honestly want to honor that too for the choices that you guys are making together.
Yeah, it's life is a beautiful gift that we're offered here, and I want to live it, not watch other people live it by looking at my phone all the time.
Love it. So tell me about Majik Kids. You've sandwiched it in, and I kept dragging you back to the reality of the power of what you've chosen to do with your life. So tell us all more about the resources that you've created,
Yeah.
what they do, stories and music, and fair pay artists, and a whole bunch of things that need just a little spotlight on each of them. So talk more about that.
Sure. And I'll reverse that just quickly, is like the problem that we're looking to solve is there's a giant machine that is engineered to hijack our children's attention and nervous systems, that most of the junk food entertainment available to children has no substance, just like much of the junk food has no substance for our children, and it doesn't help them grow up to be strong, capable human beings. It does the opposite. And so what we're seeing right now is a generation of children with higher levels of anxiety, with lower levels of focus. They're more nervous. Like, there's just so many symptoms. And it starts with, what are we putting into the consciousness of children? What is happening inside of each of these children to cause them to feel anxious? And I'm not a scientist, but there's a lot of research out there available now around the harms and effects of screen time. Not even just screen time, but the junk food entertainment complex that exists for kids. And what happens when a kid is watching a flashing screen that is engineered to keep them watching and never looking away, always watching, it creates an addictive loop inside of their nervous system where they constantly want more of that. Hence why so many kids have temper tantrums and they need their shows, etc. This is not to the fault of the parents. This is the way things are designed right now. Basically the way that they designed social media to become as addictive and sticky as possible so people stayed on the platforms so they could sell more advertising. The same thing's now happening in the children media complex. And so what we're trying to do, because when kids are watching a screen, the flashing pictures are doing the job of the imagination of a child. And kids are the ultimate imaginers. They have creativity baked into every cell of their being, and that's being stolen from them. And so when you listen to an audio story, your imagination makes up the entire world for you. And if we want to raise a generation of creators who are going to solve the problems of the future that are coming, we need those kids to have an imagination and their creative mind intact. And so we're trying to design stories, and we work with hundreds of voice actors. We have producers that score music and sound effects. We have an amazing group of storytellers who are helping to write these stories, to weave the lessons in, to weave humor in, so kids are not just listening, they're also laughing. And all of this helps to awaken imagination so kids can be creators. And the beautiful thing, like, we've raised our son with limited consumption screen time. So we're cool with him to use technology as a means to create and to bring value to the world. He's working on a graphic novel right now. He's doing that in Procreate on his screen. However, the consumption side of things, he gets one movie or show per week on Fridays. He can have audio stories in the afternoon, but what's he doing while he's listening to an audio story? He's building something. He's creating something. He's drawing. He's working on his graphic novel. He's actively listening. His imagination is expanding, and he's engaged in a kinesthetic activity while he's listening. And so we saw, like, at a young age, when we tried shows for the first time, we started giving him Paw Patrol and other stuff, and we're just like, his emotional well-being absolutely tanked for 2 months because we went through a hard pivot and a hard move. So as we've been building Majik Kids over these last 4 years, and my career has been at the intersection of entertainment, education, and human transformation for the last 22 years, with media being the vehicle to do that work online. And as we've been building Majik Kids, we wanted to create like an all-in-one audio entertainment space with like highly curated content that is fully screened, so parents know that what's going into their kids' ears and consciousness is something that's going to help build them into the capable creators who can critically think, who have emotional intelligence as they get older. So the parents can rest knowing this. Like, it's probably better for kids and listen to audio stories, like go outside and play with your friends and like make up worlds and all that sort of stuff. But this is a good step in the right direction from just sitting in front of a screen and consuming endless YouTube videos or cartoons.
So I just am delighted about that. And you've done a very articulate job of explaining it, obviously, since you're doing it, producing it, selling it, moving it around. So fabulous. I have a question, because you said your career has been at the intersection of human transformation and media, and you had a third thing. What was the third thing?
Education.
Education. Media, transformation,
entertainment,
education,
yeah.
2 E's, education, entertainment, and transformation. Okay. So I want to know, what is the story? What happened in Bradley's life and development that made you aware of this, sensitive to it, and to sort of make this your life's work? Because it's clearly a passion that you have. You mentioned other hobbies, and we haven't talked about them. Although you live in British Columbia, so I expect snow has something to do with some of them. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Actually, not. I live on one of the Gulf Islands here, off the coast of Vancouver, where we get very little snow. We get rain, but this year we didn't have any snow stick on the ground at all this winter. But some winters we might get a couple weeks, and that's lovely. But yeah.
Wow. All right. Anyway, I want to know what happened. How did you get here? Because if I took 1,000 people and lined them up and asked them all these same questions, the number that lots of people feel the urge to do good, to make a difference, to change the world and stuff like that. But the number of people that coalesce, organize it, and do this. So tell me what happened to get you here.
I had I grew up without religion or spirituality in my household.
Mm-hmm.
I had good values instilled by my parents, and to work hard, and I never took school too seriously. I ended up moving from Ontario, in the east part of Canada, out to British Columbia to pursue pro golf. I'm a golfer, and go to business school. And after the second year of business school, I realized that they were preparing me to get a job. And for me, I've always had this instinct to want freedom. And so I ended up dropping out of school after my second year, and I started my first business with a buddy of mine. We were 20, or I was 20, he was a bit older. And we sold really offensive t-shirts on the internet. It was my first internet business. It lasted just about a year before I had a major life breakdown. Basically the affirmations written on my silly t-shirts became my life. I was drinking 6 days a week, and not real. I kind of became everything that I always said I didn't want to be. And I ended up having this meltdown one night where I really broke down. And for the first time in my life, I genuinely prayed to God, be like, I hate who I've become and what my life is. And I want to do something that I'm really proud of. And literally within several days, everything started to shift. I ended up stopping the business. My business partner moved away. That fell apart. Everything just kind of crumbled. And I ended up discovering personal growth. And I went like deep down into that with meditation and prayer, and building my own personal connection. In the beginning, I didn't really have any true mentors, and so I figured a bunch of things out on my own. And one of the pieces that really supported me was a gratitude practice. And a buddy and I made this very silly video that went viral. It's called the Gratitude Dance, and it was the first video I ever put on YouTube. It went viral. My intention before putting that video up is like I wanted to inspire youth because, I was still, early 20s, and I'd gone through this big transformation, and I felt like I could help youth. And so that one video led to like 100 plus media appearances and tours around North America for 2 years. And that was like the beginning of where all of a sudden things began to click, and I felt like I had purpose. And so the last 20ish years have been an evolution from that launching point of like trying to do good by providing services or creating offerings on the planet that were transformational, inspiring, comedic, that shone a light on what was needed. And so that's morphed into a lot of things. I taught 500 plus meditation workshops and did retreats around the world. I produced a world-class audio meditation library that got picked up by Mind Valley. And I became #1 on their platform for a bunch of years. And before they bought out the rights to that library, I put that on a bunch of other platforms. That led me into business coaching. I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years through my creative agency, Majik Media, where we have supported transformation facilitators and teachers to bring their work online and to build online schools and reach millions of students around the world. And that the building that and creating comedy videos and like all these things that were interests of mine kind of became what Majik Media was. And as my son started to get older and we started to make a lot of stories together, having had a creative agency, it just sort of felt like the next step of like, we need to build something that can be a part of his education as he's growing up, of like, let's create a publishing company where he can get the life skills of what it means to be a creator and what it means to be an entrepreneur and an artist. And also a way for Soren, Celeste, and I to have a vehicle, because Majik Media was definitely my thing that I've been doing to support our family. And this felt like something we could do as a family that united all of our gifts. And so, we're 4 years in right now, and it's like we built a pretty incredible rocket ship with the audio library and the learning resources. And now we're scaling all these incredible partnerships that are going to bring Majik Kids to millions of families this next year, which is, the dream is to like, I feel like we're in this wild, weird, chaotic, strange world right now. We're helping to spread more joy and magic to families, which is so needed right now because a lot of people are starting to lose hope that we're heading for a dark place, and we want to bring that magic and that light to the imaginations and the hearts of kids and parents and teachers and all the people that need it right now to carry that torch.
So you're right. We are headed headlong, slow motion, fast motion train wreck to a dark place. And it is the will, the desire, the passion, the yearning, the choice of you, me, and other people that are saying, wait, not on my watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's making that difference. And so it's not metaphorical. You said the screen, the junk food entertainment industry is built to rob the souls of the children.
Yeah.
And that is what? Profit-based, to keep them addicted to there. And so greed and all that stuff is the engine for that. And the, oh, by the way, consequence is we rob their souls. We turn them into creative nothings. They can't do anything. They can't think for themselves, et cetera, et cetera. And that's exactly where it's going. Unless and until you, me, others who say, no, we're going to offer an alternative. And we're going to not only prove the alternative, but we're going to prove that it's valuable and can create money, resources, attention. And there is more power in that than there is in the dark.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah. It takes each of us, we all have a role to play right now. And more than ever, I feel it's important to stop paying attention to what the broadcast is telling us to think and believe, And it's more important than ever to start linking arms with people and building alliances and seeing how we can all lift each other up. You know, we all have some form of role to play, big or small. We don't have to build a media company. We don't have to be broadcasting things, but maybe you have a story to tell. Maybe you've got something that you could be doing in your neighborhood to bring people together. Maybe, you know, you could start a club. Like there's things that we can do to bring people back together, and everybody has to figure it out for themselves what their gift is. And you know, for me it's like there's been this evolved journey where it's like I take the next step and I build the next part of what I felt inspired to create, and that always led to the next thing. I've never, you know, never 20 years ago did I imagine I would arrive to where I am. I just kind of built the next thing, which led to what followed that.
You know, you said something earlier. You were raised without necessarily spirituality, although there were good values instilled. And then you felt in the moment of dark night of the soul, moment of despair, I hate my life, I hate myself. And you said a prayer to a being, God, you called it, the conscious unified field, whatever, I call it God also.
Yeah.
And then things started happening. So when we're in a time where it's a time of decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of choice. Sitting around and doing nothing is acquiescence to the machine that you referred to earlier. So what would you say to people who are struggling with the same doubt, fear, I hate my life, I hate myself, or maybe I don't hate myself, but who am I? I'm only one person. I can't do jack anyway. So what? Because you've done, you know, as you described, meditation and other tools. You've led retreats. You created a bunch of meditation music and sold it on a big scale to a large publishing company. Mind Valley is a big deal. So what would you say to somebody who has the story? Either I'm hate my life and they're in the beginning, or I don't hate my life, but I can't do anything. What would you tell me?
Write yourself a new contract and a new story. So scrap the whatever the story is that you're repeating. I hate myself, I hate my life. That's a story and it's a contract you've designed yourself. And so you have to write the new contract and the new story of what you want. And you said it's like whether you call it God or whatever, there's a unified field of intelligence that is in everything everywhere all the time. It's constantly listening, it's constantly responding to who we are, what we're speaking, what we're thinking. And so if you're thinking that all the time and that's the loop you've got, you need to interrupt that pattern and interrupt that loop and start speaking more consciously to the unified field that's responding to your intentions and to your own energetic field. And most people, because they're overwhelmed, because they don't like what they have, they're numbing out by watching their phone, which is hijacking your ability to consciously create your own reality. And so if you really want to be able to like do this in an intentional way, put that away, lock it in a box after hours, whatever you got to do, and get more intentional with the space, which is going to be uncomfortable for anybody that's used to distracting themselves with the flashing screens, to actually get present, to decide the life you want, decide the ways in which you want to be of service. And you don't have to have all the answers, but you can speak those intentions. And for me, my intention for the contract I wrote for myself after my breakdown was I just want to be proud of myself for the work that I'm doing in the world and for the good that I'm bringing. And that was it. And I signed it and I dated it. And that led to like a whole cascade of things that happened in the years to follow that led me to where I am right now. And, you know, over the years, I'm always just like checking in with myself. Am I proud of what I'm putting out into the world? Even if it's a slog. Yeah, I'm proud of the difference I'm making. That was the intention. It's like it's an easy check mark. It's a good benchmark. I feel proud of what I'm bringing to the world. And so if you're in that space, you know, start by going for a walk in nature, on the ocean, wherever you live, and just quietly talk out loud. Tell your problems to the unified field. Speak your intentions to the unified field, because I really believe like there's intelligence in everything in nature. And when we're breathing, what is that we're breathing in? Those are God particles. That's the field of intelligence that's going into our lungs, into our body, into our heart, that's pumping our blood. So get more present to that and speak to it.
You know, it can sound, and years ago when you would have started this, and I did after 2007, um, It sounds, especially then, weird and woo-woo, but the truth is, research is now demonstrating that it's true. And that demonstration didn't make it true. It was already true. We've just now finding some things to point to, so there's no more excuse. And the
Yeah.
things that you're saying about breathing in consciously and intentionally and meditation, whatever you want to call it. The first 5 books I wrote were a 5-volume series on meditation because I loved that also. It starts with learning to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just and be grateful. Like you said, be grateful for things. We are taught to be ashamed. We are taught not good enough. We're given that in practically with the cereal that we get from when we're 0. You're not okay. Shut up. Be quiet. Whatever it is. And it's not true. It never was true and it never will be true. And so everything that Bradley's talked to you about is not just nice to hear. It is foundational truth on which you build, because that which we repeat creates who we are. Well, that's wonderful. And that is a fabulous explanation. And thank you for sharing that initiating event and what you've done. Now, as you've walked along that path, have there been times, ups and downs, where it felt hard, where you had to check in, where you had to reaffirm and revisit in a substantive way? And I'm asking this because nothing's a straight line and nobody falls up that mountain. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I am naturally wired to be an overly optimistic person. And so my optimism and reality haven't always lined up. And so there's been a lot of times where, get knocked down, tried something, didn't work how I thought it would. But I figured out a long time ago is like, life is hard. We're flying through outer space on a planet. Anything can happen. It's unpredictable. We never really know what's going to happen next. Life always has a different plan than the one that we've made up for ourselves.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah. And so my feeling is like, I would rather, if we're going to struggle in life anyways, I would rather struggle for the things that I believe in and I want to see created on the planet than struggle for somebody else's dreams. And so that has been a part of my journey, is like surrendering that there's going to be struggles, there's going to be hard times and good times. I've always tried to like stay committed to doing things that bring me joy every day. I am a golfer, so in the last like 10 years, I've played over 3,000 rounds of golf. I compete professionally on the
Do you
Vancouver
travel?
Golf Tour. A little bit, just to the Vancouver Golf Tour, which is a really good pro tour. And I've done some Canadian Tour events, and later, I'm in my 40s right now. Maybe when I turn 50 or something like that, I'll go tour and do some seasons touring, but who knows,
Yeah.
I play, so I'm one of the founders of playcheeball.com. So this is a very, very fun handball game played with a hand-woven rattan ball. I've been playing for about 14 years, and this is one of the other ways I bring a lot of joy to the world, is this hand-woven ball has, over the last 14 years, I've been taking it everywhere. And the motto of the game, or one of the slogans, is make friends with strangers, because I have never found a simpler, more effective way to unite a whole bunch of strangers in complete joy and play. And if you're watching the video version of this interview, my hat says keep it up. That's rule 1. Rule number 2 is don't say sorry, optional push up if you do. And rule 3 is have fun. So if you can remember the joy of keeping a balloon in the air, the premise is similar, but with chi ball, you're playing with a hand-woven rattan ball, so it's very springy and fun. The ball originates from Southeast Asia. They play a game there called Sepak Takraw, which is like volleyball with your feet, and they'll do backflips to spike a ball and stuff. We have modified, reconfigured the ball so that it's slightly bigger and it's squishier so that it's better for hand play. I can't do backflips to spike a ball over a net, so we've shifted the traditional ball to a squishier ball, and a completely different game that removes the nets. Play chi ball anywhere is the whole idea, and anyone of all skill levels. And so we just launched in Austin, Texas, Chiapter, which is Chiapter, like a league, but Chiapter, which is growing rapidly right now. And we've got other communities that are now building like neighborhood leagues where it's like 4 o'clock every Tuesday we play, and in their park or at the beach or whatever. And uh, we call this the revolution of joy, because it's unbelievable. We'll get people in a circle playing chi ball, and you'll have people that are clearly wealthy, people who might potentially be homeless, people from who are hippies to business people. Like, everybody's working together to keep it up, and there's no politics involved. It's literally, we're all just doing our part to keep the little ball in the air. And there's competitive ways to play. There's lots of different games within the game. You could play just 1-to-1 as partners, or you could play with a whole group. And then for competitive chi ball, you spread out 15 feet apart, and you and I would be a team of 2 racing against a bunch of other teams of 2, and you race to 100 hits. If it hits the ground, you lose 10 points, and if it bounces once, you save the rally, you lose 5. Fastest to 100 wins, and it gets very, very fast. The record right now is 38 seconds for 100 hits, and it's fast. It's very, very
Wow.
fun.
Now, is this a game that you created?
So the roots started in Hawaii back in the 70s. A gentleman who passed away a couple years ago named Phil. He started playing this game. He didn't call it chi ball. He played with a tennis ball. Over the years, he started experimenting with different types of balls, and then they found a small rattan ball that they used for a while. I learned on my honeymoon about 14 years ago from a couple guys who learned from Phil, who played with him in Hawaii all the time, and they called it chi ball. Phil didn't like the word name chi ball. They taught me, and then 4 years after that, I found a ball under my house. We moved into a new home, and there was a chi ball under my house. I started taking the ball everywhere and playing. And then I started a men's group, and we came up with all the rules. We came up with a whole bunch of different games, kind of the culture and the different ways of talking about it. So aside from Phil, the guys that taught me still live in Hawaii. We ship them a bunch of balls. They play regularly on the beaches on Maui, and they sell the balls there where they're playing. They're stoked that we've like taken the game beyond where they did. So, the roots go all the way back to like Southeast Asia with Sepak Takraw, and then to Phil in the 70s, and then to the guys, Elijah and Thalin, that taught me. And then my crew, we were called Man Ventures while I was leading that, but Chi Ball's taken over my time from the men's group. And so there's a whole bunch of people that have sparked what it is, but playchiball.com, CHI for Chi. That is something that I founded, and we're working with the weavers to weave the balls, and we're shipping them all over the world right now.
All right, so thank you. I love that story, and I'm sitting here dancing in my chair as you tell it, because but it's such a perfect example of anything from anywhere can spark creativity. And you have the agency, you have this thing that is holy calling that you're doing with your kid and your wife, and spreading that around the world. Energy, joy, lifting, blessing. And so anyone that is hearing this, there are so many ways to create joy, and it starts with you deciding that you can. This is just amazing. So that's fantastic. I'm glad I asked about the chi ball. What a cool thing.
So fun. It's so fun. I got to get you a ball. You'll love it.
Well, I do already, and I have I'm probably going to have some spinal surgery to fuse L5S1 together on one side at least, because that disc is gone now. But so I have a little cane that I walk with, not in the house, but when I go places. Anyway, so Bradley, you are filling my heart with joy, just being with you and catching your energy and your love. And I want you to freestyle here for a minute, and I want you to tell me, and we didn't really get to the agency, but I get to talk to you again on another show. And so I want you to tell me anything that's important that you had a really interesting life perspective. You talked about optimism. People that are optimistic live 5 to 7 years longer than people that are not, because of the poison that negative thinking creates in neurotransmitters, because cortisone and adrenaline, they're corrosive, right? And so there's so much to dig into in what you've just taught and naturally do and have chosen to be. And gratitude is such a part of that. So I'm talking and I said you. So you go ahead and freestyle for a minute. Anything else that you want to leave our audience with about Majik Kids or about life or about coaching or about creation and the truth that you create your life?
Well, for all the parents and the grandparents, just download the free trial of the Majik Kids app and let your kids choose some stories. One of the most popular is Beyond the Wall, The Untold Story of Humpty Dumpty. We have many popular ones, but that one is definitely like the number one seller for our book library. And basically,
where do they get it? What's the app called?
Majik Kids, Majik, kids.com, and you can just learn all about it there. You'll love it. It'll bring a whole lot of magic and wholesome and great conversations. And we've got a growing imagination meditation library. So if, bedtime is a tricky thing or nap time, turn on some meditations, let your kids learn about their body, their breath, their thoughts, their nervous system, like they have these built-in tools to do that. But I think for like everybody listening, whether you got kids or don't have kids, ask yourself this, like, how can you, the individual listening to this, how can you bring more beauty to the world? There's with all the darkness, it's like, how do we bring more beauty? Maybe it's through your music. Maybe it's through starting something in your local community. Maybe it's creating some form of project that feeds people. Maybe it is something completely different. Maybe it's starting a Chi-Ball chapter in your neighborhood to bring people together. And, everybody can bring a barbecue on Tuesday nights and you can do a grill out and people can keep a ball in the air and work together to do that. Everybody's got their own piece. And if we can all just focus on bringing more beauty, that beauty brings joy, that brings happiness, it gives us purpose, and you don't know where it's going to lead. And so the other thing is how do we lean more into relationships in this time? As an entrepreneur, I've built my career based on strategic alliances. I always go into conversations with other creators and other companies of like, how do we lift each other up? What is the way that we link arms and we both bring something to the equation that we can't do if we're on our own? And therefore we all leverage that and we can all win the game we're trying to play. But we can do that in our neighborhood, in our family units. We can do that in all the ways. And so it's really important. Right now, social media is a broadcast platform where everybody's just posting pictures of themselves. It's very false. It's not a real reality. And so I would just say, like, get back to the old fashioned and like pick up your phone, go through your contacts, stay in touch with people, like direct in touch, not just broadcast and maybe they comment on your post or like it. That's not real connection. Real connection is like picking up the phone and calling somebody, getting together, checking in on them, because as stuff goes down on planet Earth, it's unpredictable what's coming down the pipeline right now. We're going to need each other more than ever. And we don't want to depend on big government to be the ones who save the day for us. That's not a good strategy.
It ain't happening.
Yeah,
it ain't happening.
We need each other. We need each other.
Yeah, big government or big anything ain't happening. We are it.
We're it. And so power to all of us to figure out what our role is in that. And I've always been a starter, and everybody's waiting for somebody else to start the thing they want. And if there's something you wished existed in your life, something you wished existed in your community, then start taking the steps to be the one to start it. You won't have to do all the work all the time because you'll start to find other people that align with it and want to see it exist too, and you can start to collaborate. But be a starter. Start the thing that you wished existed.
I love that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your energy, your heart, and everything that you have gifted us with today.
Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak some words. It's felt like a good therapy session to just let this flow.
I love it, and I support everything you're doing. Listeners, I want you to just take advantage of this. Majik Kids, download the app. Like my sisters homeschooled their kids, and other people too. They're looking for things because we all have the sense that there's stuff wrong, and we want alternatives. And Bradley's creating them.
And it's hard. There's a lot of choices these days. There's a lot of choices. It's not simple. So don't beat yourself up, everybody, if you don't feel like you're getting it right now, because every moment is a happy new now to start again. So just say that's a good mantra for me when I'm having a hard moment, is I just tell myself happy new now. It's like, oh yeah, it's a new now. It's kind of a nice little reset button. So if it's not perfect for you right now, just say happy new now and figure out how you want to restart from this moment.
I love it. So everyone, take a listen to this twice and listen, write some things down, things that strike you, because Bradley's right. You matter, and you can create whatever you want, and it's on us to do this. And if you choose to, you can move forward right now from this moment, happy new now, and begin to create your ultimate life.
Never hold back, and you'll never ask why. Open your heart, and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFluckigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, YourUltimateLife.ca. Subscribe. Share.
Stand with your heart.